finally, some slight positive news. So Bank of Canada decided to hold the rates steady. This was announced on Friday, October 25th. To be honest, I don't know if that's considered fantastic news. The interest rates are still at 5%. The big 5 bank prime rates are at 7.2%. Highest since 23 years ago at year 2000. So the interest rates are still high. And the Bank of Canada still warns that increases are possible in the future. And that might just happen. Since early 2022, Canadians have seen 10 rate hikes. With the big 5 bank prime rates at 2.45% since early 2022 to 7.2% since July of this year. People are seeing their mortgage payment rise by about 60% or in some cases even 70% in the last year or so. So if you put like 20% down on a $1 million home in 2021 or 2022, your mortgage payment just went up by like $2,500 or $3,000 a month. That's like how much a minimum wage employee makes in Canada. And those are some scary numbers. And now Bank of Canada is saying that we might be seeing more rate hikes in the future.
No! God, please, no! No!
Here's why I think that might not happen. The goal of the Canadian government is to keep the inflation rates at 2%. Let's take a look at the data. We can see that as the interest rates went up, the inflation has steadily gone down. Of course, as it should. That's the point of raising the interest rates. But we're still nowhere near the goal of 2%. In fact, we saw a slight increase in the recent months from 2.8% in June to 3.8% in September. Well, that's not good news. It seems like Bank of Canada is right. We might have to still raise interest rates. With that said, we are seeing a slowdown in the economy. We're seeing housing prices drop across the country with increased inventory, signaling that some people can no longer afford their mortgages. Also, higher interest rates means higher rent.
I represent the rent is too damn high party.
With Canada already in a housing crisis, increasing the interest rates again will no doubt cause a chain of events that won't be too pretty for the Canadian economy. So the high inflation numbers in September at 3.8% that's causing a lot of concern, I think we'll see that number drop in the coming months. So according to TransUnion, the Canadian credit card debt went up by 3.3% in the first quarter of 2023, and for the people with lower credit scores, I would assume it's people making less money, that number jumps up to 8.9%. Inflation drops when people can't afford stuff at inflated prices. As debt rises and when people realize that they can't afford the luxuries they could used to afford, the inflation will drop. And this might take a couple months. I'm assuming there might be a lot of Canadians that's already in debt that's still buying a lot of stuff. But in a couple months when the debt keeps rising, I'm assuming they're gonna stop, which will drop the inflation rates. Because let's be honest, most people are not financially literate. And that's why a large majority of Canadians are broke. Which is why you should subscribe to my channel. Because you don't want to be that 51% of Canadians that's only $200 away from being completely broke. Yeah, that might surprise you. 51% of Canadians are only $200 away from being completely broke. But if you subscribe to my channel, that's not going to be you. So I'm actually going to be very curious about the inflation numbers for October, November, or December of 2023. Because if it stays at around 4%, I'll be pretty surprised. So with the interest rates highest since year 2000, what should you do? Well, first of all, if you can still afford to invest. Obviously, personal bills comes first. You never want to get yourself in debt. As long as you invest in the market, doesn't matter when, you'll be ahead. There was actually a very interesting research done back in 2022 for 5 hypothetical long-term investors. You take a look at this. This is very interesting. You have Peter Perfect, who's incredibly skilled or lucky and always invests $2,000 at the lowest closing point throughout the year. Ashley Action, who goes with a simple approach, puts in $2,000 to the market at the beginning of the year. We have Matthew Monthly, who breaks down $2,000 and invests it into 12 equal portions every single month. So Rosie Rotten, how did they come up with these names? Is apparently very unlucky and only invest $2,000 at the highest point throughout the year. Yeah, I guess she is unlucky, so she is rotten. Last but not least, you have Larry Linger, always looking for the best opportunity but never gets it, essentially putting money on treasury bills, so essentially a savings account. So the research shows each of these 5 hypothetical people with different ways of investing. After 20 years from 2003 to 2022, what do you think the results are? Honestly, I was a little bit shocked. That's quite surprising, isn't it? Even the worst luck individual in our experiment, Rosie Rotten, still manages to vastly outperform our friend Larry here, who, by the way, always tries to find the perfect opportunity to jump into the market but never does, so puts his money into treasury bills, essentially a savings account. So what this experiment shows is that as long as you have extra cash, just put it into the market. You don't have to time the market. Because the reality is the market will always do its own work for you. It's historically giving you a return of 10% annually. Just make sure that before you invest, take care of yourself first. You know, your bills as well as your emergency fund. The next thing I'll do with super high interest rates is to cut my expenses. If you didn't know, I actually upload YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reel, as well as TikTok. And one of my takes on coffee actually got some heat from the Instagram Reel community. Honestly, I actually think that spending money to buy coffee at Starbucks and Tim Hortons is a bad idea. Just make coffee at home for like 25 cents. And if you're a heavy coffee drinker, just save that $100 a month and make coffee at home. Might not sound like a lot, but if you put that $100 you saved into the market every single month, after 30 years, it could be worth like $200,000. And of course, there's some people that disagree, and on the Instagram Reel, there's, people comment, hey, where's my $200,000? Look, anything you save now compounds into the future. Just saying. Another area in which I think Canadians can cut down their cost are phone bills. Canadians have some of the highest phone bills in the world. I mean, Canadians are paying 20% more than our neighbors down south, and 170% more than Australians. Like, come on. Honestly, but there are some budget options out there that's pretty nice, like Public Mobile, which I made a video about. They have multiple plans at lower rates than other carriers. I personally use Public Mobile and I save like $50 or $60 a month on Public Mobile. So if you're interested in knowing more about Public Mobile, my video link is down below, as well as my referral code if you want to save some money. Last but not least, if you have a lot of cash right now, I would consider looking at investment properties, especially right now, because in my own city of Vancouver, I'm seeing that the housing prices has dropped and inventory has increased. Might be a good time to snatch out the property where the original owners couldn't afford their mortgage. You know what? The Vancouver and Toronto real estate is expensive, but I don't see them dropping anytime soon, because Vancouver is a port city and port cities will always have demands for their real estate. And Toronto, well, yeah, it's the financial capital of Canada. Don't expect the real estate market to decrease. So yeah, if you have cash right now, really consider snatching up one of those properties with a distressed owner. Alright, that's it for today. Please remember to like this video as well as subscribe to my channel. I make financial tips for Canadians in my long form content and financial comedy in my shorts. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.